Hello everybody, I'm Witch Chat. Let me very quickly tell you where you can find me on social media. Find me on Facebook at Magically Blessed. Find me on Instagram at awesome_Phoenix1. Find me on Twitter at Priestess Autumn. Find me on YouTube at Awesome Phoenix. And find me here on Periscope at Awesome Phoenix. We are now in 2019. The world has changed and you have to change with it, or you will simply get left behind. Millennials. Millennials are anybody who was born between 1981 and 1996. Let me very quickly tell you again what witchcraft is. Witchcraft is working with the energy found in nature to bring about change. Witchcraft is most successful when the witch also does their part to manifest their desire. So let's say you're taking a test and you want to get an A+, obviously. You can only get that A+ while doing the test by also studying for that same test. If you don't study for the test, you will fail it, regardless of what spell or ritual that you did. What influences the millennials for this generation are the attacks on September 11th, because most of us was between the age of 5 and 20 years old. The war in Iraq and Afghanistan, this contributed to intense political polarization. The 2008 election of President Barack Obama, the power of the youth vote elected the first black president. Racial and ethnic diversity, more than 40% of them are non-white, Hispanic 21%, African American 13%, Asian 7%, or any other race, which will come down to 3%. The economic recession, as is well documented, their life choices, future earnings, and interest to adulthood have been slowed down by this same recession. Technology and the internet explosion, rapid evolution of social media, constant connectivity with iPads and iPhones, and on-demand entertainment and communication. Therefore, millennials tend to be more liberal. I'm a liberal. Millennials remain the most liberal and democratic of the adult generations. Millennials are less likely to be bigoted because they are already the most racially and ethnically diverse adult generation alive today, and this trend increases with the post-millennials. Millennials tend to be less trusting of the government. Only 15% say they trust their government. 65% disapprove of the administration. I disapprove of the Trump administration because he does not need to be president. He needs an exorcism. He needs mental health. He's under demonic influence. That's why he's acting the way that he is. He's not acting the way that he is just because he's just a cold-hearted bastard. He needs to be in a mental hospital. He's sick. And he's also under demonic oppression. If you want to learn more about demonic oppression and demonic possession, do check out my video about that, which is available on Periscope and YouTube. Millennials tend to be more supportive of the LGBTQ community. Millennials tend to be the most supportive generation for same-sex marriage. and believe that homosexuality should be accepted. Because homosexuality is not a choice. Nobody wakes up in the morning and decides to be straight. Millennials tend to be less religious. They are leaving Judaism, leaving Christianity. What did you millennials say that I want from the craft today in 2009? In a nutshell, they want to be left alone. They want to be able to do their craft privately without being prosecuted and being disowned by family members and laughed at by their friends. I personally think that witches new to this path, the ones that are serious about witchcraft, are seeking a spirituality that is equal parts of mysticism, I hope I'm saying that right, and practicality. They want ancient wisdom and also modern science. These millennials, they enjoy the earthy, romantic, sometimes macabre witch. But they also, don't get it twisted, they also appreciate a no bullshit, straight shooting, well organized research and reasonable explanation for why we as witches do what we do. Those days are long gone now when a seeker will just accept law just because some old person in England said so. These people are working from their own grimoires. They are working from their own book of shadows. And from what I can see on their social media pages, that work, their altars, their candles, their sigils are absolutely positively gorgeous. And if you follow me on social media, you know that. And millennials, what they want from witchcraft is they don't care. They don't care very much for new age that is diluted, that does not have any pizzazz or any flavor to it. They don't want things to be they don't want the dark side of witchcraft to be glossed over and poetic fluff. And they don't want to be associated too much with people who are pasty white, bleached their skin. These young people do like to take a walk on the quote unquote dark side, and they realize a very long time ago that it takes a understanding of both sides to fully live a magically blessed life. These millennial witches want genuine authenticity and discernment. These witches are very well aware that Western society is on the break of some kind of breakage of the norm, and they are going to have to deal with that fallout. This makes millennials some of the most political and socially conscious adults ever in human history. There is an urgency to their seeking of witchcraft. There is no time to waste, no illusion of safety, and no spirit change for the witch who is wishy-washy. There is no time or space or energy that anybody wants to give to somebody who wants to rebrand witchcraft, repackage it, and resold it for the sake of separating the gullible, the naive for their money. These witches seek people who are genuine and discriminate in a, unfortunately, increasingly deceptive and exploitative world. When it comes to what is known as pop witchery and gods and goddesses and ancestors and spirits and familiars, the ancient gods, heroes, and mythology are now re-emerging faster and more powerful than ever before, because this generation have been doing their historical research and digging deeper to devotional practices. But they are just as likely to appreciate how the gods are emerging through the new stories they grew up with too. Pop witchery is for this generation and becomes the gateway mythos that brings them to us on social media. Like shows like Charm, movies like The Craft, Practical Magic, and Harry Potter, and even Lord of the Rings, through video games, through comic books, the old gods and goddesses have been streaming through the works of us older folks to feed them a constant diet of magical truths. Millennials who decide to become witches are, like I said earlier, socially conscious, and they have political activism. So those kids who grew up reading Harry Potter, they now want to get down to serious business of creating change, and their will is very strong. The next generation of witches, like their storybook heroes, come to this path ready to punch Nazis, smash the patriarchy, open up all the closet doors, and restore equality at every table. And bigotry will no longer be tolerated. Millennials that decide to become witches are not afraid to get their hands dirty and to do the hard work. They're already dying on the altars of corporate greed and political corruption, so they might as well go down swinging. They know about millennial witches. They know about, they're also known as baby boomers. They know that there are people out there trying to hunt them down one by one. Will lead the charge, but it will become a multi-generational effort to bring down the big bad wolf. Millennial witches do witchcraft to conquer their fears and get right up to the face of the status quo for a duel. They're ready for a fight. These would be the witches who redefine the very purpose of life in this society by starting with themselves. This fight is brought right through the classroom door anyway, so us as witches get to dueling. Millennial witches have a sacred mission in self-care. You hear me talk about all the time how witches are a defining voice of a young generation. I'm talking about this generation. I'm talking about this generation of 2019. When it comes to anxiety, depression, illness, and unprecedented stress plague our young people, hell, even all people, and many come to witchcraft to find coping mechanisms, healing, and purpose. The witchcraft they seek would therefore need a overarching sacred mission of personal and societal evolution into something, anything better than this apocalypse that is currently burning at our gates. Life moves fast, sometimes too fast, and we need to keep teaching self-care. Millennial witches feel ethical and they feel responsible. When it comes to nature-based partigans, like shame, guilt, and worry about damnation that surrounds us. We owe it to our young people to host a discussion on what it means to live a beneficial and effective life as a witch, as an alternative to the failed oppression and denial of the current culture. Witchcraft, millennials that choose to become witches. Witchcraft for the next generation must also divorce itself from the materialistic rehashing of the old familiarity that are no longer sustainable. Folks need local options for what is naturally on hand, just as the people that came before us did. When they say, oh, they're so broad, and a $50 bottle of sandalwood essential oil. The rise in demand by the New Age movement has been devastating to some crystal mining communities in South and Central America and holy forests in India. This ravenous you're not required to have crystals when you do witchcraft. You're not required to have it. Having it is a personal choice. Have crystals that you are actually going to use. Don't just pick up crystals because they look pretty. Are you actually going to use it? Millennial Witches is all about accessibility and acceptance. The next generation of witches demands a witchcraft that is accessible by everyone regardless of gender expression, sexual preference, race, or cultural background. Millennial witches tell me they are a little bit tired of the straight normative Belgian the old all notions of class, sex, race, broom closets, or secret societies because they're woke from the illusion of separateness. So bullies, you better beware. They will not wait for a guru to come and save them and aren't particularly impressed by the guru options out there any damn way. Millennials have an unprecedented level of natural psychic and energetic ability. They have everything it takes to be great witches, but they still need a Yoda, like a priest or a priestess. They still need to feel safe and responsible for what they do and what they don't do for your problems. It's no longer blaming a devil for your problems. If you're going to be a witch, you have to be able to take personal responsibility for what happens to you. Because these young witches, like myself, because I am a millennial, come of age during the internet explosion, they already have cosmic power in their hands, in their pockets. They have always had the ability to reach out instantly through a alternate dimension and communicate across vast distances. Millennial witches have the skills to visualize and then create that vision in digital way to affect change. Those worlds are real to us. That is some powerful alchemy. The witchcraft that will be adapted, and preserved would do well to harness this technology. We should affirm and utilize this power and these witches' prowess at using it rather than insisting upon Renaissance level technology. Those old world witches used what they had on hand. Now let's do the same. As we create and document the 21st century witchery, let's embrace new media. There's almost an app for everything when it comes to witchcraft. Whatever. These new witches of today are not like the people that came before them. They are large, and a lot of them are now taking charge of their life by becoming witches. And God has helped anybody that tries to stay in their way.